All right. Hello, everyone. It is Suzanne Hart, and I don't know if some of you saw my photos. I'm just back from Phoenix, had a fantastic time, and not really enjoying the snow back here where I live. It has snowed every day since I landed, and I actually had to dig my car out of a chunk of ice. So really wishing I was back in Phoenix. When I was there, I went hiking. There was a hiking trail, a mountain, a hill, a rock, if you will, behind my condo where I was staying. And so I decided to go hiking. And when I asked about the trail, they told me it's about, depending on how quickly you go, it's about 1 to 2 hours up and then coming down. And so it seemed cool. It was a beautiful day, blue skies, and I wanted to do some exercise. So I thought, okay, this is great. So I take off, I get my stuff, I get my gear, and I got my water, and I'm off to the trails. And so I get to the trails, and it is really kind of cool. It's carved out through the rocks, and there's signposts that kind of tell you where to go and what direction to go. As I was hiking, something really interesting struck me. What struck me was that until you were on top of the trail, like literally until you were there, you couldn't see your next direction. And it reminded me of something that I heard Jack Canfield say many, many moons ago when I heard him speak, when he talked about, a lot of people, when they want to do something, before they get started, they kind of need to see the whole path, right? He likened it to getting on a highway and driving from Montreal to Toronto, if you're Canadian, Montreal to Toronto, and having the lights on the front of your car light up the whole path, and you actually see your path right to Montreal to Toronto. We know that doesn't really happen. We only see a few feet in front of us. And so here I am on the trail, and I'm looking up, and all I see are rocks, cactus, and it just looks plain, and so I can't see a trail. So I start hiking, and what's really neat is once I get like a few feet, I can see the trail barely carved out in the rocks. Then I'll go to another bit of feet, and then I'll see the trails carved out a little bit more in the rocks. So really, it really emphasized for me that I had to get in action, and once I took my first few steps, it revealed the next direction and the next step. And that is so much like anything you do, particularly as an entrepreneur. I believe that entrepreneurship is a total faith walk. And you have a great vision in your mind. You may have a plan, but that plan is only executed and comes to fruition when you take your first few steps. And then you realize that you don't have to know how to get from point A to point B. You don't have to know everything. What you need to know is how you're going to start. And once you get started, each time you take action, that action actually reveals your next action. So one of the things that was really cool when I was on the mountain was it was a few key things. One is sometimes I think the path was over here, and I'd walk down that way and realize, oh no, that's not the path. And I'd turn around and I'd come back to where I started, and then I go, oh, I go over here. Then it would take me further on, and I go, okay, I'm on the right path. And very similar in business. And in anything we do, actually, that you'll go down one path, and for some people they'll get discouraged and they'll quit. I made the wrong choice, not realizing that their first choice is never their last choice. They could turn around, come back, make another choice, course correct, and keep moving. So that was part of my journey on the mountain. But the other thing that was really cool was I would get to these places, and there was these things that seemed like cliffs. So as I'm climbing, as I'm hiking up, I would get to these places, and the rocks would seem like almost straight up. And I'd look at it and go, I don't know. I'm not sure if I can do that. I don't have hiking boots on. I have regular running shoes on, so I'm unsure. And then I'd watch people come down, or I'd watch someone come past me who's obviously done the hike before, and I'd watch how they'd go. And I'd watch them scale it with ease. And then I would do exactly what they did and realize once I got into action that it was actually quite simple. It just looked bigger than I thought. And again, isn't that true? Sometimes when we think about something and we're a little fearful or intimidated, we allow our fear and our feeling of intimidation to expand something, and it makes it feel bigger than it actually is, harder than it actually is. And once you get into action and you do the act, you realize, oh my God, that was so much simpler than I thought it would be. And you keep moving. And the trick is not to diminish it, because you celebrate, you overcame your fears and you got into action. But the other really cool thing that I realized was I was just modeling other hikers. When I was uncertain, I'd look at someone who had done it before. And even one woman, I talked to her on the trail. She said, I hike this once a week. So I kept my eye on her and I kept modeling what she would do. I'd go where she'd go. I'd watch where the path took her. I just modeled her. And again, it's so true in everything. Find someone to model who's done what you want to achieve and do what they do. So, it's interesting how life informs us, right? Life is always teaching us. So as I sat on that mountain, and there was so many other lessons, but that was one I wanted to share with you. It was so cool. So my question to you, are you standing still, afraid to take action because you don't believe you have all the answers? Or are you willing to let your first step inform your next step, to walk in faith, trust that you have the brilliance inside you to figure out the next step? But it's the action that causes the growth, the insight, and provides the knowledge for you to see the path as it unfolds. So that's my thought for today. Comment, let us know what you're thinking, how it resonates with you. I'll talk to you next week.